So to understand the same point of the different approaches to print and also one more approach to call a method to see the output. So to discuss all these things, let me use one of the previous method, that is area method of a rectangle class. So this is the example which I am choosing, and here there is a class called rectangle. Inside that there is a method called area whose return type is integer, which is taking two parameters called int l, int b. Yeah. So inside this we are having a area logic to the right hand side. Then we are using AR as a reference variable for that of integer type, which is same as a return type. Then as we know that we have to return the value by using a return statement. Now what is my point which I am discussing extra? Can we use a return print function inside a method body? That's a point. So here I am using a print function inside the method body. So here is the starting of the method and here is the ending of the method. So inside a method I am trying to use a print syntax. Is it allowed? So we are getting error. Is it because of the print syntax, or is it because it's not allowed to use inside a method, or any other reason? Yeah, it is not a syntax error. It is not that it should not be allowed, but the positioning is wrong. Where I am writing this? Before written or after written? After written. So here, this is the end of the method, but I am writing after written, before end of the method only. That positioning of any line of code, not only print function, after written, if you write any line of code, that line will throw the error because it is not reachable for JVM to execute. That's the point. If you remember the execution flow in the last class, from return statement only JVM is going back to main method. Then once this statement only sending JVM back, then who will execute the next line of code if you write something? That's why it is not possible to write anything after the return statement. Then can we write before return statement as a print syntax? Absolutely yes. You can observe the syntax, it's accepted. Now what should I use? So here we have to use the variable name which is allowed in this method only. That is AR is one such variable where we can use to see the result also, AR. So which is correct. Now what we'll do to just see the difference in the outputs. So here I am using one string and I'm appending with plus symbol. So here I'm writing this output is from method. This is from area method. We are getting this output. Yeah. So for clarity, I have added some statement there, some string there with a plus symbol to the same variable called AR. It's possible, right? We discussed in the last class. Then how do we execute? To execute this area method from another class. So let me take one more class. So inside this class, I'll name this class as a sample. And to execute, I'll select main method. Then I'll click on finish. So this is our next class. Then to access one class data from another class, we discuss the approach. That is, we have to create the object. Why we have to create object inside a main method? Because JVM execute from here only. What's the class name? Rectangle. Then followed by reference name R equals new. Again, I am using control space is the IntelliSense approach to avoid typing spelling mistakes. Yeah. So control space will give the options. From that we can select it, so that sometimes instead of rectangle spelling, we may type A and a T here, something like this. Because of that also, there are some mistakes will happen. To avoid that, we can use a IntelliSense window, which comes with a control space. After typing some letters, for example, I am typing REC, then I am using control space. You observe rectangle is there. Okay. So that's we can select it so that our typing errors will be avoided. Yeah. So then followed by, once we have the object, then how do you call a method? Object reference dot method signature, that is area method name, which is expecting two inputs, say 10, comma 5 are the inputs to this method. Then semicolon as per the syntax. This is method calling. And to see the output, we have to store that result into the return type as a data type variable. So int is a return type. That's why I'm using int type. Then res for result. You can use anything as a variable name. Then followed by, to see the output, again here I am using the print syntax, and I am printing something as a meaningful message, then plus the variable called res. So here what I like to type is from main method. Let me see. Now if we execute it, how many outputs we are going to get? We are executing this area method. Inside area method, what is there? One more print statement is there. And here in the sample class also, we have one more print statement is there. So both will print the same output or not? So what is the length value? 10. What's the breadth value? 5. 10 into 5 will be area. 50 only or different for two outputs? 50 only. So from main method, I right click after saving this, then go for execution of this by run as Java application. So now from the console, you can clearly notice there are two outputs we are getting because two print statements are used, one from the main method, one from the area method. So here is from area method we are getting, from main method also we are getting, the output is 50 only. So just proper presentation, let me use one colon space. So again I'll save, again I'll execute from this shortcut. So here you can see two outputs that we are getting. Am I clear? Done. Next thing, in place of these two lines. So let me comment first. In place of these two lines, can we write one line of code? So for that, what is the syntax we discussed? Inside a print function, we can also call the method. Inside print function, call the method. What is the method calling process? Reference name, that is, sorry, r dot method name area, and then the inputs are, so if I use 10 and 5, instead of that I'll use 6 comma 5. Okay, 6 comma 5 are length and breadths. Now what should be the output? 30 should be the output. How many times you'll get it? Because inside area method one print function is there, and inside this main method also one more print function is there. Therefore 2 times we are going to get the same output. Here I'm using Control F11 approach on the keyboard to execute the program. Then you can see the same output. One is from area method and one more is just method calling only. We didn't add any string to that. That's why 30 from the main method as well. Understood? Yeah. One more point. Now inside this main method, I don't use any print function. Inside this main method, I'm not using any print statement, but to execute the method, I'm only calling the method. R dot, what's the method? Area, and what is the inputs? Some 100 and then some 200. Yeah. And then semicolon is the end of the line. So only calling the method. Now tell me, do we get output or not? If we call method will be executed or not? So here we are calling the method. Method will be executed or will not be executed? Will be executed. So first answer is method will be executed. But what is there inside a method? Print statement is there or not there? It is there. So when print statement is there, then do we get output or not? Inputs are given here. So therefore, do we get output or not?
Only we will get one output.
Yeah, we'll get output, correct? So for that, let me use Control F11 to see. For 100 and 200, 100 into 200 is the area. So we are getting from the area method, not from the main method. So these are various possibilities. These are various possibilities when it comes to method calling process to see the output. So out of this, mandatory thing is we have to call method from the main method only. We have to call from the main method only to execute. Then after execution, if you want to print from main method or if you want to print from method body,
before the return.
yeah. So inside method body means it is must and should before return statement. But inside main method, after method calling, you can catch and print, or you can directly call the method inside the print function also. So these are possibilities here. Am I clear?
Yes.
So when all these are possible, if you just observe all my examples so far, that whatever we have discussed will be with return type as some value or with void type.
With return type.
All the examples which we discussed are with return type as a value type only. Nothing of void type we discussed as of now. As a practice, syntactically we discussed. For practicing like area, rectangle, area of a square, triangle, average, all these things are nothing but with return value we practiced it. Yeah. So it is, the conclusion is, if the return type is a value type, then only all these possibilities are there. If it is a void type, then the story is different. So what is that void type, how it is different and all, we will discuss in our next class. So for you to practice some more questions on this methods, let me type some questions for you. So we discussed about something like area of circle, correct? Area and circumference of a circle. Then followed by, so let me go for some practice questions. And the questions which I would like to give are, so it is, write a Java program to print sum of n numbers. Sum of n numbers from 1. So what is the formula for sum of n numbers, if anybody aware of? The sum equals n into n plus 1 by 2. So n of n plus 1 by 2 is a mathematical formula. Correct? Yeah, sum of n numbers from 1 to n. From 1 to n. So here I'm giving the formula. You think of it, how do you write the Java code for this? Okay. So this is just a hint. The next, followed by, write a Java program to convert Fahrenheit temperature to Celsius temperature. So for this, the formula is C equals F minus 32 into 5 by 9. This is a math formula. So you can expect any question where, if you know the formula, we have to understand what is the input to this, what is the output of this, what is the possible values of input, what's the possible value of output. Based on that, you have to write the logic of it. Yeah. So these two questions. So like this, if you just Google, you will get some different types of questions. Just please practice them and use the return type as value type only, even for this also. As I said, in next class, we'll discuss about void type functions.